Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Greg. I'm going to go over Bitcoin, but let's go over the long-term time frame and see what's going on here, guys, with old Bitcoin. Okay. I guess I should do this probably a little bit more often because it's what I keep track of. I mean, at the end of the day, to make sure you're on the right side of the trade on these assets is to keep tabs on the long-term time frame of what the assets are doing, whatever you're in, the Nasdaq, the SPX, whatever stock. Like Nvidia right now, Nvidia is it's a special case, guys, but here's the thing with Nvidia. Um, it's probably still going to go up, guys. There's still a lot of if you look behind the scenes on Nvidia, it's looking like it's still going to go up. So I know a lot of people are going to get out there and say, hey, you can start layering in some shorts, but I think it's probably a little bit better deal when something is that bullish, unless you're really, really confident, is, when it goes up like so, and then it does a correction, you maybe want to get a lower high and then go into that area. Okay. Just as an example is probably what I would do personally. I wouldn't even mess with it. There's other assets to find to short besides something that's like the most bullish asset in the history, not history in the world right now, practically, it seems like. So I just want to go over the long-term time frames just because, I was listening to some stuff and obviously there's a lot of opinions out there. Like one guy's like, well, I think it's going to go up. One person, I think it's going to go sideways because of this. I think it's going to go down because of this. That's all noise, guys. That is noise, 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 noise. Okay. You have to eliminate the noise. I just listened to another guy. They have analysis said there's going to be a recession from November of 23 to November of 24. Really, I think I could analyze it, how that's going to come out. Because here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is I'm not saying that things are fine and dandy in the economy or anything like that. I'm not saying that. Things can change quick, real quick. Markets can go quick. And the other thing is too, the markets are not the economy. The economies are not the markets. Your average Joe walking around, going to work back and forth day in and day out, doing whatever he's doing, is probably not really interested in Bitcoin, probably not really interested in some stocks. Most people have their 401k. General average everyday people that I've ever talked to that have a 401k, they just kind of let it sit there. They do anything. They know it goes up sometimes and then it goes down sometimes, and they kind of look at it. That's what most people are doing, guys. They're not really going, oh, what's the market's going to do? But I'm trying to distinguish that most people that are in the markets are a little bit different than your average folk that just are going through their daily life, guys. And it makes a big difference between what's going on in the markets and what's going on in the economy. Even though there's a little bit of a parallel from time to time, I will be willing to admit that. But I want to go to the long-term time frames, get some clarity on this, on Bitcoin, and it's going to be determined by the Nasdaq. So I made a video. Well, let me remove that. I made a video about the Nasdaq, right, guys? So here's the Nasdaq. I went to the futures, decided to check it out, and there's a supply zone right above this 618. You can see here on linear, it's hitting 618. So there's an area for the Nasdaq to make a correction, and right now with a lot of the bears. So this is the future of Bitcoin, what Bitcoin is going to do, right? So you have the bears that are saying this is the top, and this is a continuation of this this leg. Okay. So this leg, and then it's going up and then it go down there. Is that possible? Yeah, that's definitely possible. I mean, you can't rule that out. There's definitely an argument for that. Okay. I would say there's more of a fundamental argument to that, where what's going on in the economy, whatever you want to throw. Okay. There's an argument to that, but there's also an argument that it could continue to go up too. And in my analysis of the NASDAQ, it does appear there's a higher probability, I say probability, that the NASDAQ is going to continue to go up and right into October. So anything beyond 3 months is all just like a coin flip, guys, right? So you can kind of go out 3 months pretty much, and that's pretty much what a trade is, right? trade is going to be like maybe you got day trades, then you have swing trades, day trades, and then you have longer term time frames, which would go into swing trades where you go maybe a day, a week, maybe 2 weeks, 1 month, 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, maybe 3 months. Anything beyond that's kind of a coin flip. So that's why I'm saying pretty much October, it does look like that. This is going to be a correction, and there's going to be trend continuation with the Nasdaq. And if you take a look at the Nasdaq, and it's like the top 10 stocks that are in there, maybe the top 8 that are they're driving the indice right here, this Nasdaq. Okay, the Qs and the futures, the NDX1, and all that other stuff. So a lot of that money is going to eventually seep into probably the lower cap, mid cap, lower cap stocks, or wherever they think they're very undervalued. Okay. So my thinking is that there's a lot of, it's not very active over here in the crypto space right now, guys. Okay. You can just see it. I can sense it. I can see it in the charts. A lot of people are losing interest. A lot of money is leaving. And now what are they thinking? So here's the thinking. You think about this, and right now is probably not a very good time to be doing this. They should have thought about this ahead. Is some in crypto, maybe they have money, maybe they don't have a lot of money or money. They're thinking, okay, let me go over to the tech stocks. These guys are rocking and rolling. And by the time they get over there, if they're not prepared for it and start like looking at things, it's going to start coming back down, potentially doing a correction. However, the guys that are over here in your NVIDIAs, in your Googles, in your maybe your Microsofts, your Teslas, they're going to go find the undervalued ones, which would be maybe a mid-cap stock or some other, whatever it may be, and they believe it's undervalued. I'm just saying as an example. Now, one of those could be Bitcoin, okay? I have an argument to say, let's take a look at Bitcoin, okay? So they're going to do an analysis on Bitcoin, maybe a long-term analysis, and check it out like we could do today. And I can show you some things that I think that is a really good probability that could be going on. In the meantime, short-term time frame, I'm bearish on Bitcoin. Okay, it's going to be going down into a correction. How deep, how long this is going to take? I've thrown some time frames out there, the end of June possibly. What's it going to do at that point remains to be seen. We'll find out once we get there, guys. But it's going to depend on this too. Now, is the Nasdaq going to continue to melt up? I threw this on Twitter, guys. I want to show you something. I have, let me go out to a monthly chart. Okay. Here's the Nasdaq. I'm going to put it on logarithmic. Here's the Nasdaq, guys. And, when this, I just decided to go, when this thing fires off, the Nasdaq, it starts moving, guys. There's no doubt about that. The momentum behind this is a very, very bullish indice. Okay. Just the type of corrections that it does, you see how this dump from the .com bust, and then it came up, and this whole thing is a correction. So this is the move I tell people about, like these type of moves that it does like this and it makes like a chair. Those are very, very bullish corrections, guys. This was telling you, this right here, this whole move right here was telling you how bullish that was. Okay. Because normally, what do these usually do? You have an asset, normal asset, A, B, C, right? And it didn't do that. It did this. Okay. So, and over here too, guys. So I'll show you some things, like this type of move, right? The 87 crash right here, and it went up 3-wave, and then it did another crash. And you can see in this instant, it was above this one over here, where usually, you'd have maybe something where it should be like that and then continue on, right? And that would be kind of expected over here in this area, guys, okay? So that's what I'm keeping my eye out for, where it could be going up correctively and then come back down, okay? Where the NASDAQ could be going up correctively pretty high and then be coming back down, maybe touch that trend again on continuation, okay, guys? Now, that's just speculation on my part. I'm looking at some things, but let me throw on my some Bollinger Bands here that I threw on Twitter, and I'll show you guys some things. Is that I went through the whole history of the monthly chart. of the Nasdaq with the monthly Bollinger Bands that I have on my chart right now. And every single time the Nasdaq hit the bottom end of the monthly Bollinger Bands, however you want to look at that, it made a run immediately to the top of the monthly Bollinger Bands. There's not an instance in the history of the Nasdaq since 1974, or that general area that it came out, where it came to the bottom of the monthly Bollinger Bands, and then it's up in this area, and it made a continuation to the top of the monthly Bollinger Bands. Okay, something to think about. That consistent for, what would that be, 25 years plus another almost 20, for 50 years. The Nasdaq, this one, composite, went down to the bottom of the monthly Bollinger Bands, just like it did right here. It ripped out of there, and the next stop was at the top of the monthly Bollinger Bands every time. You can see right here, bottom, top, bottom, top. This is a little bit bottom, top. However you want to do that. Bottom, back up to the top. You know, down here, bottom to the top. Every time, guys. Bottom, back to the top. You know, bottom, back to the top. Stayed at the top. You see? So I'm just saying that if this is going to happen, this will be very good for Bitcoin. And my point is, I think some of that liquidity from the Nasdaq and the tech stocks will come over to Bitcoin, guys. Those guys over there that are in, let's say, the even institutionals, or I guess you want to call them more sophisticated traders that are in your NVIDIAs, in your Googles, and in your Teslas, looking at things like AI, artificial intelligence, the future, what's going on to the future AI, even blockchain, crypto. You know, they're seriously looking at crypto, guys. I mean, let's not fool ourselves. They are. Look at the Bank of America. Look at maybe, I think, Fidelity offering Bitcoin. Look at what the Bank of America did recently at the beginning of the year with MicroStrategy, actually buying extra shares of MicroStrategy, trying to take advantage of the benefits of getting the gains in Bitcoin this year, 2023, first quarter of 2023 in MicroStrategy, guys. So that's undeniable. Anyhow, I went off on a tangent for there a little bit, guys. So here's the 3-month chart on Bitcoin. And I want to go over these, the candles that it did right here, guys, because that 3-month candle, that's a pretty strong candle, but I used a Bitstamp. And, you know, the volume down here doesn't look good at all. So that raises some eyebrows. But the thing is, you want to do is you want to go through all the other areas of Bitcoin, the other exchanges. Definitely look at the futures. So here's the CME futures. You definitely want to look at the futures. Okay. So here's the futures. And the candle, in my opinion, for this 3-month candle, you want to be comparing it to this candle. So these candles over here will be like third wave candles. They should be the highest, just like you see right there, okay? That candle. And then you have this candle over here. So this putting off a good signal. You can see this quarterly 3-month candle is higher than that candle over there. So that's a good signal. And I could just go through the rest of them and check them. The BLX is not giving off good signals either, okay? So it's not, check that out. So Binance, this is a different one. I think with the limited data, it's not a very good thing to be looking at. Binance US, I wouldn't look at that. You got another Binance chart, wouldn't look at this one. It's Coinbase is the other one. So here's Coinbase on a quarterly candle. So you want to go over to this candle over here and look at the volume. And in that instance, this volume on the quarterly candle exceeds that volume, okay? So what I'm saying is you have a nice impulse bullish, very, very bullish candle right there, guys. Everything looks really, really good for Bitcoin. All right. So now I'm going to take that information off. And I was looking at the RSI here in this instance on the here. And from this peak to this peak, if you're looking at this right here, just like that, is hidden bullish divergence, where this is lower than over there, but it's higher up here. Okay. That's not as strong as regular divergence, but that's usually an indication of trend continuation, guys, on the 3-month chart. And then down here in the RSI, as of January of 23, on that 3-month RSI, you have a bullish cross right there. Okay. So it looks good. It looks actually really good. Let's see here. Here's the 1 month chart. The 1 month chart is that this is already gone up, beyond the 50% in that area. And all those candles look really, really good. This is down here, looks good. And then you have the MACD down here in the monthly slowing up in momentum, and it's starting to work on a bullish cross. You can see right there, it's slowing down. It was curving up pretty more dramatically, if you will, up this way, but it's going sideways now down there. So otherwise, it looks pretty darn good for trend continuation. Okay, guys. Some of these too, when they get up top into the stochastics, guys, it does get up there and it can stay up there for months. Okay, just like it did over here. Okay, you can see it breached right there, and then at the top, and then it started coming down. You can see how it came down. You can see on the monthly chart here on Bitcoin, on this wave, okay, that wave, you have a seriously good signal, not only here for your bearish divergence, but you can see in the stochastics. Look at the stochastics right here, guys. All the way down here, and the price is above that previous price. Just these two indicators right here, we've been telling you that would have been a hardcore exit out of Bitcoin up there, guys. Okay. So when you're in Bitcoin and it starts going up into a third wave or any of these massive waves, you want to be looking at your high time frame, your weekly chart, your 2-week chart, your monthly chart, and your 3-month chart. I'm not saying check them every day. Obviously, you don't need to check them every day, but you want to be checking them often, weekly or bi-monthly, 2 weeks, something like that. So that looks good in this area over here. So the long-term time frames for Bitcoin, in my opinion, look pretty darn good. So in the meantime, we're just going to be paying attention, or I'm going to be paying attention, and you can follow along with me if you'd like, or you can pay attention on your own, what it's going to be doing in this section and how deep is the correction going to be. I posted on Twitter that I'm looking for a 28.3 target, short-term time frame target, and then a potential trend continuation for Bitcoin, guys. But I think with the Nasdaq over here, guys, it's going to be vitally important to see what this is going to be doing, trend continuation, and how much longer it's going to do. And then you can take the Bollinger Bands, like I showed you on the monthly. Is it going to go like this? It could. And then is it going to be, something where the Nasdaq is just going to make its way over there like that? It very well could, guys. History has said that that's what the Nasdaq does. Over 50 years since 1974, it hit the bottom of the monthly Bollinger Bands, even in bearish times. So you can come right down here in this .com bust, and it came all the way down to the bottom of the monthly Bollinger Bands right here. It hit the bottom over here, okay? And this whole bust, but once it finally bottomed, it did make a rip to the top of those monthly Bollinger Bands. And this is all a big corrective move right here that it did, okay? So you can see that this is corrective. How it's kind of just going up and there's not much spread in the bands. And really at the beginning right here, kind of like that. So where they start spreading out the bands like that, where it's bullish or impulsive over there, even though these are impulses, but with a corrective move in the middle and then an impulse over here, and then to finish it off 5 years later, right over here, guys. So, and then looking at the data down here too, guys, on the NASDAQ is that is important, I thought, was this RSI down here, okay? Down here, it went so deep in RSI, and it went as deep as the 1987 crash, guys. So a lot of people don't realize how significant of a crash this was. And I was mentioning about that even at the end of, like, probably around October of 22, maybe September 22, where you had Netflix, it crashed, Facebook, it did it. Eventually had Tesla, and all these assets had to crash. And I was looking at them, and various other ones going, these are all crashing. They're all doing wave 2 crash. Probably the NASDAQ is in the midst of finishing off its same crash. If it's not, then it's going to go into a massive bounce because of this. And you just go over here to the 1987 crash, and it was more than the 1987 crash. Okay. The 1987 crash was a big deal because it happened so fast. Okay. It happened real fast. This was long drawn out, but the momentum was just as bad, if not worse, than the 87 crash over here, guys. Okay. So now, is the NASDAQ going bullish? I'm still not 100% on that, guys. I think the NASDAQ has a good shot that it's going to be going up into a corrective move, as I mentioned before, which is still going to be good for Bitcoin because the trend is going to be going up and to the right. It's going to be going up and to the right. So it's still going to, I'm not saying that's going to be the same thing for Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin could do what it needs to do, and it's over here in its wave, and it rips off a wave like that. Okay. And it just does an impulsive move. While the NASDAQ is over here, perhaps, I'm just saying speculation, that's making its move over here at the top of the Bollinger Bands, only do a correction like that or something like that, guys. You know, that's a good shot that it could be doing that, because I'm looking over here at the NASDAQ and what it did right at the end of the 1987 crash right here, boom, 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 went up and it came back down. That whole section right there on the NASDAQ is a wave 2 correction. It's a wave 2 correction right here, guys. Okay. It went up, 87 crash, and went up into a 3-wave move that lasted from November of 87 to October of 89. So a 2-year 3-wave move, and then boom, another crash. And that whole section right there ended up being a wave 2. But this section right here did not take out that section. So most people are going to say, oh, it's a bullish move. And it is bullish, going up, but it was a correction. And you can see it right here in the RSI. And then, you know, I would not be surprised that you go like this over here with the RSI, okay, or the NASDAQ, right, comes back down. And if it's not in a bull trend, it could be doing the same thing back to the top of the Bollinger Bands. And then it's going to do, you know, some sort of move back over here, just breaking it. So then that whole section, and then it kind of goes up like so, and then boom, 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 right? And then you have this whole section as your crash, kind of like what you have over here on the NASDAQ, guys. This is important for Bitcoin. This is important for Bitcoin. I know you guys probably don't want to see anything about the NASDAQ. We want Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Well, guess what? If this is going to be going down, Bitcoin be going down with it. So this is important too. This section right here, right? Think about that. Up and back down. And this was the crash right here, guys. Okay? Right here on the 87. This was the crash. Bad times, bad times, bad times, you know. And then it finished, and then it started going up, boop, 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 boop. And then what happened right here? Another one. Bop, crash. And you know what happened right here? You go right here. This is 1987 crash, and this is the recession. And boom, the whole time it was in a correction. Okay. And same thing over here. See, because it's putting off the characteristics of going up in a corrected move. Now it could come back up, and maybe that's a wave 1 and then it's going to make a second wave correction. It can go either way, guys. So that's what I'm kind of expecting with the NASDAQ right there. And this will be good for Bitcoin, guys. Now, I'm not saying Bitcoin is going to make a move like that, but you have a good shot for Bitcoin to come down. Let me go to a weekly chart. You know, even the weekly chart on Bitcoin looks really, really good, guys. I mean, those are pretty bullish candles right there. Let's go to Coinbase and take a look at the, where's Coinbase? Take a look at the, so you got a high volume there, and the volume slowing down because it's right here in a correction. So the momentum, that's to be expected for this 5th wave to have less volume than the 3rd wave. So here's your 1st wave volume, okay? And then you have your 3rd wave volume, boom, it started to slow down because this is the 3rd of the 3rd, and it slows down in that volume. So you check your momentum indicators, it'll tell you the same thing. And then that wave, right, is the 5th of the 3rd, which has less volume than the main primary massive impulsive wave of the 3rd wave right through here. And then this wave, okay, and slowing down. And then this is telling you it's in a correction right here, guys. So everything looks really, really good for it, okay? And still looking at targets back down to these areas, guys. You know, it's just probably sitting in this area because there's so much support through here, guys. And then it can make a move up and then eventually get right back down there. Could be a grind down here, guys, and we might not get one of these Bitcoin, you know, wick type moves where it likes to go way down here and then get sucked back up. Okay, so it can go either way. It can go either way, but otherwise, I think it's just going to be a little bit more of a patient waiting game and getting prepared for the next potential run up for Bitcoin. Okay. And it could be dynamic. You remember that. Now, I'm not going to be saying I'm predicting the future over here, but think about this, right? Okay. If this is your wave one, okay, and it's coming down for two, you know, this is either going to be a C wave or it's going to be a third wave, guys. Um, that's what it's going to do. That's what it's going to do. Check over here at the Nasdaq. Let me remove some of my drawings over here on the Nasdaq real quick. Over here at the Nasdaq, right? Okay. Over here at the Nasdaq. So, look how aggressive it started getting out of there, guys. Look at those. Those are monthly candles. And it just started going boom, 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 boom. It was slow to start and it got out of there. More liquidities in the NASDAQ. More people had their money in the NVIDIAs, the Googles, and the Microsofts and things like that. And then they're probably going to come back over here, in my opinion, guys. Eventually, they'll come back over here into this section, right? Smart money, whatever you want to call it, smart money, institutional investors, probably took some profits and they're going to get ready to get over here, in my opinion, guys. That's how it's all making sense to me, and then have a blast up. So this could have a melt up, not like a Dave Hunter type melt up where he's saying it's going to, I think, 20K or something like that, but have a melt up maybe to 16 or something like that, guys, potentially on the NASDAQ composite. Or I do have targets of 13.5, 14-ish for it after it does a correction, but maybe it's going to go higher. And then, there could be the same thing over here for Bitcoin and just shock everybody, guys. And it's just like, it just rips off a wave real quick that lasts like 4 months or 5 months. The same amount of time as this wave. The next wave, in my opinion, will probably be, I think it's going to last probably about that long, 140 days, maybe 160, 180 days. And that'll be it. It'll be done and over with. Just because the macro environment is setting it up where it's going to be dynamic, quick, fast, and then a correction come back down. And then when it's all said and done, NASDAQ can do the same thing. When it's all said and done, it comes into a correction, it'll be one big mess, basically, it'll be like up and then boom, it's going back over here, might come back down, maybe wicks through or something like that, guys. That definitely could happen. And then you have this whole section on the NASDAQ, right? Boom, 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 boom. And it's like, what happened in there? And then over here with Bitcoin, depending on where this is going to go to. So if the NASDAQ is going to do that, I'm very, very confident Bitcoin is going to do that. It's all going to depend on the NASDAQ, guys. Whatever it's going to do is where I'm going to have to change the strategy, if you will, with Bitcoin. Okay. So, and by the way, too, not financial advice. I'm waiting like a couple weeks looking at Bitcoin. I have orders set below, 20 into 25 to pick up more down in 24 in case there's wicks down there. And then if it gets down there, I'll be looking at lower portions going down lower to 22s and things like that. And just wait for 2 or 3 weeks going into the middle of June, the end of June, to be looking at altcoins that have really, really good setups. Okay, guys? And probably a good time too to be checking them out, because Bitcoin now is going up into a little bit of an uptrend, and you'll see Ethereum going up to an uptrend. Check out the alts that are popping. It might tell you if they're finished with a correction or if they're trying to, complete the correction, et cetera, et cetera. So time to pay attention to it. I know a lot of people are getting negative on quant. If quant can't hold that support zone, it's going to go to 40, right? So yeah, quant, just wait for the reaction out of there, guys. I do think it's coming up to finish that correction. And in that area, has a massive supply zone area right there, or demand zone, excuse me, and it hasn't even tagged it yet, okay? Hasn't even tagged it yet. And I'm thinking for quant, what is going to happen, okay? Now, quant's chart is starting to look pretty weak, guys. You got to look at it on a weekly, on the main chart. You got to go to the main chart, the whole chart. It's starting to look weak over here. So, but usually about the time when people are like, it's weak, right? And then it turns around. Isn't that how it goes, right? So you can see right here, it hit it and went into there. And then I'm pretty sure it's going to hit that demand zone, guys, right there, 95. 95, bottom of these areas, guys, right here. This area, right down here, okay, would be the target on quant, okay? And I would wait this area right there on quant, guys, okay? But it is important. It is important to wait for the reaction out of there first, guys. Wait for the reaction. Let it go up. Don't FOMO. Let it come back down. They always go up, right? They always go up into a correction, up into a wave, and they come back down into a correction, okay? I don't think quant is going to do some sort of super moonshot out of there and leave you behind. I mean, it could, but, you know, to me, it's just not worth the risk to buy the dip on quant right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's the risk to reward ratio right there is really, really worth it. And Algorand. So, you know, I mean, this is one thing I'll say about Algorand, guys. I mean, you definitely are buying the bottom. You're buying the bottom on Algorand. There's no doubt about that. I would still wait for a reaction out of there on the Algorand, guys. Okay. Because Algorand on the monthly, I was looking at the monthly chart, and I really, on the monthly, I really don't like to see assets go below candle bodies. So you can see on the monthly chart how it's hitting right there. And maybe that's where it's going to stick to, you know, that 15, something like that. I really don't like seeing Algorand going below these bottom of these candle bodies on the monthly chart. That's not good, in my opinion, okay? Even though it's still technically be bullish because the monthly wick is all the way down there to 10 cents, okay? I'm just saying, you know, so people are saying, oh, what about Chainlink? You know, well, Chainlink is a little bit different, guys, okay? Chainlink has a structure behind it, okay? So you go to Chainlink, you can see, let me see, you see Chainlink? It's way up here, okay? It's obviously bullish, and it's in a correction. It's doing whatever it needs to do. You know, Chainlink has to go way down here, you know, and then you're like, what happened to Chainlink? Yeah, Chainlink's way up there. So different story for Chainlink, guys, okay? What was another one I was checking out? Like some people comparing, oh, and the overall picture with quant is what I was saying with overall. Let me just go to these charts. So you got to go to CoinTrader Pro for quant. That's the only place I found the whole chart. So it does have some questions. So here QNT, and put it on the coin market cap. I'm going to go to monthly chart. Boom. Okay. Quant is in that parallel channel, and you can see this is room for caution. That's definitely caution right there, guys, on quant. It was in that channel, and it's outside that. It's getting a little bit too far for my comfort outside that channel. That's why you got to wait for a reaction on that, guys. And I'm being pretty liberal with the channel, the touch there, the touch there, the touch there, and everything. So this to me is probably the change in the situation through the cryptocurrency market and all the markets, where it went up here, correction. It was did a nice move over here, and then as time has gone on with interest rate hikes, with the things that are going on in the markets, in the economy, and people are starting to lose interest in it, it's kind of dying now. Can it rip off the wave up here, guys? It can at some point, but this right here is definitely, you know, time to be cautious. Red flag, put flags up, okay? That's all that I'm saying. I'm not saying it's still bullish. Don't get me wrong. It's still bullish. It has to get all the way down to and break 43 before you can say, okay, it's bearish. Something is going on. Okay, guys? That's how I'm looking at that with quant. Otherwise, it's still bullish up and to the right. Still up and to the right. And this will probably be, if say as an example, this ends up here and then maybe at $90 and quant finally rips off a wave, and then you go back and look at your chart, you know, the thing that I would be doing is I'd be like, okay, if I was doing analysis, I'm looking at quant, I'm like, what happened over here? That would be one of my things. I'd be like, this sticks out to me, and then I see it up here. I'm like, what happened over here? And then I'd find out. I'd be like, okay, well, that kind of makes sense if you know what I mean, like had all these issues. So the other thing is too, guys, I want to let you guys know, you want to pay attention to these areas, because I think something definitely is going on in the markets. Okay. I know I'm rambling on and on. You want to pay attention to the 1 year and the 2 year treasuries. Okay. The 1 year treasuries are going to be doing a moonshot up to, not a moonshot, but like they're going up to 6, 7, maybe 8%, 9%. Okay. The 2 years are going to be going up to like 5 or 6, 7%. The 10 years are not, but you got the 1 years and the 10 years, they're going to be at 8 or 9%, or no, the 1 years and the 2 years. So you're gonna have the 1 year. So you know how these are supposed to work, right? So the 1 years are supposed to be lower, and then the 10 years are supposed to be higher. So like a 10-year treasury should be say like 6%, but the 1 year is going to be like 1%, right? You don't go like, you don't buy like, this is all flipped. It's all flipped, if you will. And this is going to be interesting how this all plays out, guys. So that's one of the reasons why I'm looking at the Nasdaq, and I think it's going to be going up in a move like this, and there's going to be a significant crash over here because something over here is going on. I haven't been able to put my finger on it yet, but it's definitely like, whoa, what is going on with these treasuries over here, guys? Not a negative thing yet. I'm saying in the future, there's message being sent over here, guys. Okay. But in the meantime, what do you do from now until maybe the end of the year, maybe going in 2024, something like that? Well, you ride the wave, the potential wave that could be coming. You ride the wave, and then you take a look at the weekly RSI. If you got bearish nerves on the weekly RSI, your probably best bet is to get out. Okay, weekly divergence. Okay, you'll see it. Weekly divergence is usually a good sign to hey, let's cut it out. And you'll miss out on a little bit of hype because it'll continue to go up a little bit. It's weekly divergence, right? So it can still have the momentum behind it and still go up. You're like, oh my gosh, I just left money on the table. Don't eat back in. It's not really a good strategy. Just move on, go find something else. If you made it all the way to the end, do me a huge favor, drop a like, hit the subscribe button. Peace.